Yeah, I mean, not to chip in, but I think I completely agree. It's too simplistic an answer to bark a number. I think the market's maturing, the proposition's changing.
The question I want to ask, and I try and ask this of as many people as possible, 10 years down the line, what's the number of CPOs we're going to have in the UK?
So can I jump in here? Because I think it's a really good point, and I absolutely agree there will be consolidation. I think it's more complex than many people might realise. I've spoken to clients 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, just discussions around consolidation and what that means. And the concept of sweeping in and just pulling in 10, 20, 50 hubs into your network overnight, it's more complex than that. So you need to consider the technology, you need to consider the tariffs, the branding, the driver experience, the bay width, what happens with the customer journey when they're on site, what happens with the technology partnerships, the O&M wraparound. If there are different OEMs and manufacturers in there, then that servicing profile looks different. Fault reporting profile looks different. So I think so many networks, not all of them, but so many networks are reliant on 1, maybe 2, maximum 3 OEM partners. So to start to expand that and go, actually, we're going to adopt 7 or 8 or 10 manufacturers and we're going to migrate them and consolidate, that is quite a tricky piece of work. So I think it might be slower than people realise that the full consolidation where you get the full rebrand and the experience is exactly the same. There's a bigger piece of consideration there. How many CPOs will we have? No idea. And I'm not going to try and guess.
I'm going to say, I think, and it's a semi-educated guess, I think we'll have 10 major CPOs, the big ones. And then probably, I don't know, anywhere between about 20 and 30 minor ones, the dragon charging, the people that are localized around a certain place.
Yeah, I think the best point of reference we've got is probably the forecourts. The Shells, the BPs, the MFGs, the others. I think they give a good representation of how many major brands there could be. And then you're absolutely right. There'll be a few independents that always.
Yeah, I mean, not to chip in, but I think I completely agree. It's too simplistic an answer to bark a number. I think the market's maturing, the proposition's changing. I think it's less about technology. That's why we're doing what we're doing. Of course, we work with good technology, but actually, for me, for us, it doesn't matter so much what the technology is. Of course, it's our job to make a check and to check it's reliable and impressive and it does what it needs to do. But it's bringing the energy to the driver and the vehicle and the fleet in a way that gives a good customer experience and it is the best use of their dwell time. I think it's very similar to what Stuart was exploring a bit there. If I'm using public charging, it's not the charge point or the CPO that I choose. It's the fact that I live in Cambridge and therefore I'll stop in Grantham and I'll stop in Blythe and I'll stop at Scotch Corner and I'll use whatever there is there that will charge my car. And then I will charge at home because I'm lucky enough to have a drive in rural Cambridgeshire to put my car on. And I will find a somewhere where I'm dwelling for a few hours to do it the other end. So I think there's a big difference between the big forecourts. I think there's a finite number there, Gary. The strategic road network that we've all been talking about for a long time, that's where the premium price, ultra rapid CPOs will condense and put their infrastructure. But it's bigger than that now. I think there's community charging and there is destination charging that has some type of, whether in supermarkets, a reward system, but for EV charging, it's almost a social value type message. Do you go to your local National Trust site and leave your car and charge it when you walk because it's a contribution to the revenue of that site? It's changing.